In this video, I'm going to show you 5 different AI workflows that we're using right now to run our 7-figure high-ticket program. And no, I'm not talking about some super prompt that we drop into ChatGPT. These are actual little AI workers that we've trained on our brand, our copy, our sales calls, basically our entire business. And we've used this to replace what used to cost us tens of thousands of dollars a month in contractors and staff. By the end of this video, you'll see exactly how each one of these little AI workflows works and exactly how you can implement them into your business. So what I see a lot of businesses doing, and where I see a lot of people get stuck, is they've got like a list of super prompts. And there's even people out there right now who are trying to sell you like these super prompt docs where they've just got all these like amazing prompts. The problem is none of those are actually trained on your business. And so every time you drop a super prompt into ChatGPT and you start working with it, you're always starting over from scratch. Now, the thing that we really want to do is we want to use workflows like this to actually train AI on your business so that we can load up all of your funnel copy, all of the ads that have worked, all of the ads that haven't worked. We can load up all your sales transcripts. We can load up the actual data for your business. And then every time you're going in and you're asking AI to do something from you, it's pulling on this big knowledge base that it has on your actual business. And that way you can start getting much more repeatable results. And these results are actually tailored to your business. So if you needed to go write copy or do all the other stuff that we're going to talk about in this video, it's always pulling from this giant wealth of knowledge that it has about your actual business and what's worked and what hasn't. So let's dive into the actual first workflow and which one you should always build first, because I think this is one of the ones that actually is just like the easiest to do and starts adding revenue the fastest because it solves one of the biggest problems that we all have. And that is the AI copy chief. So what we've done is we have trained AI on all of the actual like brand avatar, our offers, our actual like tone of voice and all of these things. And then we can use that trained AI tool to go out and write all the different types of copy that we need for your business. So if you're running any kind of online business, you know there's tons of things that you need. I mean, you've got ads, emails, sales pages, VSLs, organic content, all of that kind of stuff used to be done by like a junior copywriter or a copywriter, and we would spend tens of thousands of dollars a month on copy. We have now got that down to, we pretty much have like one person who is copy chiefing the AI, and the AI is writing most of this stuff these days. Now on to the actual second AI workflow that we use a lot, which is the sales coach. So again, we can upload all of our sales transcripts into AI, and we can ask AI to analyze these different sales scripts and give us feedback on what's working and what isn't. We can also ask it to look for patterns around like what's worked best and what hasn't across all of these sales calls. The thing that I find that this works really well for is once we have an AI that's trained on all of our sales calls, what we can do is we can get instant feedback for any of our sales teams on how our calls are going and get specific strategies that we could use to improve. So imagine in the past, sales guys would get feedback because, someone would go back and review their calls and see what was working well and what wasn't. And then they could get that feedback, if they're lucky every day, but oftentimes maybe like once a week, every couple weeks, maybe someone's going through and giving them feedback and coaching them depending on what kind of organization you're in. Now what they can do is they can get feedback at the end of every single call. So what we can do is, again, we have this AI workflow that's trained on all of our sales calls. It knows what's closing and what isn't. It can see the patterns across all of that. And then what you can do is you can have your sales guys go in and drop every single call when they get done into that. And it can help them figure out, one, what did they do well? What can they do better next time so they can start improving on the very next call that they're going to take in 20, 30 minutes. And it can also create specialized feedback on how to actually follow up with this person. So we can try to recover that sale if they didn't actually close. And so what you're going to get out of this is you're going to get better close rates and you're going to just an overall better sales team performance, which will help any business. Now, the third AI workflow that we're using a lot is the AI media buyer. So this one is awesome because anyone who has spent any time running ads knows that there's just a ton of time that goes into analyzing accounts and trying to understand what's going on and what's worked and what hasn't, all of this stuff. And you've got usually one person who's really familiar with the ad account who remembers all the patterns that they've seen. But now what we can do is we can start to train AI on all your ads data. So again, we can load up like the actual day-to-day performance. So like, your actual stats, your impressions, your click-through rate, your ad spend, your leads, your cost per calls, all of that stuff. Then what you can do is you can load up like all of the different information about your avatar, your brand, your offers, your tone of voice, what ads ads you've run that worked, what ads you've ran that hasn't. And again, now it has all of this data. It can understand patterns. So what we can then do is we can drop our weekly or daily data into this ads media buyer, and it will actually tell us what patterns it's seeing and what we should go do next. And so it can start to provide suggestions on like, what should we do inside the account? What actions should we take in terms of turning stuff off, turning stuff on, launching new angle ideas, adjusting budgets, dealing with ad fatigue, all this stuff that you need like a really high level media buyer to typically go in and understand. You can now have AI shoot all this stuff out for you. The other cool thing is because it can understand patterns, what we've seen with this is it can oftentimes come up with really good ideas to help us see what are angles that have worked in other areas across copy and avatars or research, any of that stuff that we haven't had inside the account, make suggestions for new stuff that we might be missing, and can also look for patterns about stuff that has worked that for some reason isn't in the account anymore. And so we can figure out how we can get that stuff back into the account so we start getting better results. This is super helpful. And if you want to know how to actually set this up, I've actually got a YouTube video about it. So just check the link in the description down below, and I'll actually just give you the step-by-step on how you could set this one up. By the way, if you want help setting any of this stuff up, this copy chief or any of these other ones that I'm about to mention, this is stuff that I do with my clients every single day. So inside of our mentorship, we actually have like a whole AI training module about how to set all of these things up. And I give you like the actual prompts, the workflows, everything like that. And I'm always keeping it up to date based on what we see working. So the next AI workflow that I find to be super helpful is our actual operations manager. So this really helps us with efficiency. And what this is going to do is this is going to help you write SOPs, figure out where you can add automation so you can streamline things, how to actually set up those automations. So like how to actually set up Zapier and all of that stuff. So once we have like an AI workflow that's actually trained on your SOP library and your operations, what you can do is you can just take like very simple recordings. So like trainings of you showing a client, or maybe it's like just a transcript of you on a client explaining, on a call with a client explaining something, or on a call with a team member explaining something. You can drop it in there and it can help you design SOPs that you can then save and put inside of your SOP library so that in the future, when stuff comes up, your team or your clients or whoever you're working with can just jump in and go straight to that SOP. You don't have to remember how to tell anyone anything. Now, of course, I'm sure you haven't heard of SOPs before, but like being able to have AI understand your entire SOP library and then help you keep that up to date and then help you like create new ones every time just based off of call recordings or Loom videos or all that stuff eliminates tons of just manual work that goes into this stuff. And it really helps just like create operational efficiency with everything that you're doing. So these first 4 AI workflows are really all about like business operations. Now, one of the things that I think is also really cool is we can also use AI in order to actually help our clients get results. And this is where this 5th one really comes in. So the last one when they use is like you create client success tools with AI. So this one's super cool. Basically what we've been doing for a lot of our products is we are now taking the knowledge that has been inside of our courses, inside of our group call recordings and all of that stuff, and we're building different custom GPTs or AI tools for this. So what we want to do is we want to leverage AI to help our clients get faster results. So a couple of these will be like different AI tools that are trained specifically on basically like general knowledge about how we know how to do a very specific thing, plus our specific knowledge for our brand and our course and all of that stuff. When we do that, we can, instead of telling clients like, one example from my mentorship, instead of telling clients like, hey, you need to go write ads, I've just trained an AI on how I write ads and what's been most effective for us. I give them that AI tool, and then that AI tool just writes their ads for them. So now it's like, I don't even have to, I can show them on like a principle level how to actually get stuff done, but then I can just also help AI get it done for them. So you get this combination of like they get the expert knowledge that they need to level up themselves, but then also we're just using AI to like implement and get this stuff done way faster. So we've done this stuff for like very specific mini courses. We've also used it for lead magnets, but a big part is just like us fundamentally looking at what are all the places in our business where we're trying to help clients get results, but we've had maybe in the past before we had AI, we had to rely on them to do stuff. Now we can rely on teaching AI how to do that stuff. And so we don't actually have to take it over for us in like a done for you sense, but we can still leverage a tool or a resource to get that done. So we've been building these different little AI modules for our clients, and they've been getting tons of great results from it. They're loving it. Implementation is getting faster in terms of like them getting results, and everyone across the board is just happy with it. So maybe by the end of this video, you're thinking like, hey, this all sounds honestly just way too good to be true. So here's like the quick little reality check just for you to hear it. So what I have found with all of this stuff is even though we can train AI on all of these things, we all know like AI is not perfect. And we can try to get as much of the different parts where it just makes stuff up or it goes out of context by building these custom little tools and giving it rules and guardrails and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, the thing that I have found works really, really well is this idea called this 10-80-10 principle. So I first heard this from Dan Martell in his book, Buy Back Your Time, when he was talking specifically about how to actually like hire employees and how you should use this for employees. But I find this principle also works really well for actual AI stuff. So the idea is, whenever you are delegating a task to an AI tool, what we want to do is we want to set these AI tools up and set up these workflows where we actually train it on this big knowledge base. So it's pulling from this wealth of knowledge. But even then, when we get started, the first 10% is like us providing context and direction on whatever it is we're trying to accomplish. So this is us like actually writing the prompt and actually thinking through like, okay, what are the guardrails? What is the actual outcome that we want? Can we provide results if it does examples, if it doesn't already have it, stuff like that. Then you expect AI to go do the heavy lifting and actually just like do the 80% in the middle where it's writing the copy, analyzing the sales calls, building the SOPs, all of that stuff. But then we need to be that last 10% where we come in and like actually polish it off and make it really good. So like we've all seen these examples at this point where like people are just trying to copy and paste AI outputs and sending it to people. And it's just like, you read this stuff and you're like, man, what are you doing? Like, this is garbage. Why are you like this? There's things that just don't make sense. And so when we can layer on, like actually building a knowledge base for these specialized roles in our business, so that AI is trained on these specific things. And then we use this 10-80-10 principle on top so that like the AI is still getting some human oversight. And we're not expecting for like complete automation from day one, but we're actually like going in and figuring out how we can, get AI to do most of the work. And then we're at the end to polish it off. That's where I find we get the best results. So if you stuck with me for this far, let's talk about exactly how you can implement this sort of stuff. What I have found is the best way to do this in the very beginning is choose your favorite AI tool that you're using. This could be ChatGPT, this could be Gemini, this could be Claude. All of these like have their purposes. We use all of them. I have subscriptions for all these things, and I find that they're better in different use cases. Whatever it is, each one of them has a way to do like a knowledge-based AI tool. So in ChatGPT, these are custom GPTs. Inside of Claude, these are projects. Inside of Gemini, these are gems. And so what we need to do is we can create a project for each single role. And then what we can do is load up the knowledge base with all of this information that it needs to have, plus like a starting prompt. So again, going back to the example of like the copy chief, this is where we can load up all the copy that's worked, all the copy that hasn't. We can load up information about our brand avatar, our offers. We can load up information about our tone of voice, stories we like to tell in our copy, all of that sort of stuff. We can load that up into the knowledge base, and then we can keep relying on that in order to go back to this project over and over again and use that as our copy chief. Now, expect that the first time you load a bunch of stuff up into there, it's not going to be the best version of what you're going to do. What you want to do is then you want to use that project to actually copy chief some copy and have it write some copy and figure out where it's better. And think about it like you're training a new employee, right? Like you wouldn't expect a new employee to show up in your office and in the first week be an incredible copywriter, right? So you need to look at it and think like, okay, as I'm reviewing the output I'm getting, what context was it missing? What did it do that maybe I don't want it to do so that I could add that into like as a guardrail or a rule going forward? And then what would make this better? Like how could we actually improve the output here? And just keep dialing that process in over and over again. Once you've done that and you've worked through a few of those iterations, then you can even look at how you could start to layer on tools like a Zapier or a Make so that you're actually like pulling on these custom built workflows that you've got. So once you've done it manually a few times and you've started to see how it works, then you can actually go to the level of automation. So like, for example, I have an automation inside of a Slack channel where I just send a voice note and then it goes and pulls on my copy chief that I've trained for all this, and it writes me an email, and then it sends that back to me in Slack and it adds it to our Asana, and it's usually pretty ready to go. Like I use this 10-80-10 principle to like make sure that it's still good. I don't just send whatever AI does, but like through a process of iterations, I have gotten that to work pretty good. Now, again, I didn't start by automating it with Zapier or Make. What I did was I built this library and this tool, and I did it a bunch of times manually till I figured out like, hey, this is actually going to work well. Then I went and automated it. So make sure you do like the manual part before you jump straight to automation. But with most of these, through a series of, trial, like actually working with it and iterating on it and getting it better, eventually you should be able to get to a point where like you can start to add in a lot of even automation to all of this. So that's it for the end of this. Hopefully, we can all use AI in these types of workflows and really training in our business to just free up more time and like get more stuff done. Like we're getting to a stage in the world where it's like we our capacity for output has just massively multiplied over the last couple of years, because we can now do stuff in AI with AI in a few minutes or a few hours. It used to take like days and weeks. I mean, like we now crank out entire funnels in very short periods of times, where it used to take us like weeks or months to do these sorts of things. So we have that ability if we will train it to do really good work. And again, this is the biggest thing that I talked about in this video that I have found over and over again, is like, the more we can train AI and give it context and reference, the better the output we can get quicker, so that we're not just starting over from scratch every time we do a prompt, and we're not getting a bunch of AI garbage coming out the other end. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments below. Otherwise, like, subscribe. That really does help me make more videos like this, so I really appreciate it. Otherwise, I got a bunch of other videos on this channel about all this kinds of stuff. So just check out any of these videos, probably pop it up on my face over here. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day out there, and hope to catch you in another video soon.